Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. um, we're gonna go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. Um, we're gonna be doing our good old Ren and Stimpy flip throughs. I have 3 issues that we haven't looked at before in the past. And then obviously we're gonna keep on rolling through the series until we've looked at all the issues. There was like 43, 45 issues roughly, and then there's a couple of specials that we got to do, and I think I finally acquired the last special that I was looking for when I was tabling a con last weekend. So we will be taking a look at that today, and that's just a Powder Toast Man special. Let's move this here a little bit so you guys are getting blinded by that. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna flip through some of that. I have a pretty large haul as well that we're going to be taking a look at. Some of them I pulled out of the bags and boards. We'll flip through, kind of show them off a little bit because they're kind of things that aren't well known. I figured have some people take a look at those and gain some interest in them. Maybe find them in some long boxes, back issue bins, add them to your collection. And then the other thing that we're also going to be doing is just kind of catching up, taking a look at some other books. So yeah, let's just go ahead and rip into this bad boy and get her done here. All right, so first things first, if you guys are working on pages for the third anthology, we're doing an underground horror theme on this. Sorry, an underground comedy theme on this one. Horror was the last one. As you can see, I already have 8 submissions. I actually have like 9 or 10 submissions from people. I did 10 pages, so if you are working on pages, they have to be to me by Saturday at 12 Pacific, so that is midnight Pacific. So technically, I guess it's the November 2nd for a lot of other people, but if you're in the Pacific time zone, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. So you have until Saturday night to basically get me your pages, 2 to 10, and then if we're going to be doing one-pagers, keep that for pinups and covers. Do not send me, single-page stories unless it's crafty and you can kind of turn it sideways and do crafty things with it. That's perfectly fine, but we're trying to keep the one-pagers to pinups and covers. Like I said, do Saturday. And then next week, I'm going to be spending time dumping in everybody's artwork, reaching out to people if needed for corrections, getting everything thrown together. And then I'm hoping to have this thing off to the printer before the end of the week, if not during the weekend. So fingers crossed on that. I think I can do it. So then that way, I have the books in my possession and they're shipped out to everybody that worked on these. And then I'm gonna, like I said, I've added it on to an add-on for my Kickstarter. So that's where that's going to be going there. Fun stuff, gonna have 2 comics released within a month or like 2 weeks of each other. Kind of nuts. All right, so if you guys have been living under a rock, I've been pretty vocal about this stuff. So I've been hired on to help Steve Rude and his team. There's 5 or 6 of us that are handling different, avenues. I'm a digital assistant, so I've been taking care of mainly just YouTube stuff, and then any art stuff that comes down my way I've been taking care of as well. The biggest thing that I can say about everything is if you are hanging out in Steve's chats, live streams during Saturdays, I'm always in there. And if as well, if you've noticed like thumbnails changing, upload dates changing, times changing, so on and so forth on YouTube, that's all me. I've been doing that. They have doubled their subscriber growth and view count the past 3 weeks that I've been working for them. They've been super happy with the results. It really just comes down to thumbnails, titles, descriptions, things like that. So they've been doubling their rate of growth since I've come on. So it's pretty awesome. So we are offering free portfolio reviews at the Rude Dude Studio. So if you would like, I'm going to drop this here in the chat. Give me a moment. Maybe not. I thought I copied it. I guess I didn't. Let's just pop in here quick and get this to you guys. But he is giving free portfolio reviews. So if you want a portfolio review by the dude, head over to his Patreon. Yeah, why won't this paste? Weird. Very, very strange. Give me a moment here. I'm going to try to get everybody to this link. There we go. So yeah, we're giving free portfolio reviews. So if you wanted to head over there, join the Patreon, it's free to do so. If you're a paid member, you will get basically put up to the front of the line for these people. I don't know, 5 or 6 people have submitted portfolio reviews so far. 1 to 3 pages. Go into the critique my stuff section on the chat room in the Patreon. Keep it PG-13, 1 to 3 pages. They could be 3 individual art pieces if you would like, but ultimately, you know, we would prefer to have the pages. And then, yeah, so just go ahead and do that, and then we're going to be showing them off during the next couple of live streams. So pretty exciting stuff. All right, next thing that I wanted to talk about, watch your ears. The Ink Pulp dude showed off my campaign last night, so shout out to that. Just gonna go ahead and play this here real quick, just a quick little clip of them talking about it. Let's get this turned up here a little bit. All right, let's rock this.
Own Ink Pulp community member Sam McClurg with his Kickstarter up. So let's all show Sam some love and support. He's always here supporting everyone else. And
that looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. And Sam he's hustling, man. I think you could all take a lesson from Sam's hustle.
Nice.
Yeah, he just keeps banging them out. So yeah, let's get Sam support going.
I need to back this when our show's over tonight. So this is the anthology, or is this
Yeah.
all him? This is anthology.
This is the anthology. Oh, is it all
Oh
him?
shit.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it is. Yes. It's him.
Okay.
I've already backed this baby. So,
Nice.
yeah. What's next?
All right, so again, shout out to Jim, Jamie, and Sean for showing that off. Sean has been like the biggest supporter of me, bar none, compared to everybody else. So greatly appreciate everything that that he's done for me. What else can I say about the guy? And that brings me to this. So we have 9 days to go, so just a little bit over a week until this thing is knocked out. We're just $40 away from hitting the goal. So let's go ahead and get this thing across the finish line. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up probably getting that last 40 bucks like the last 2 days when all the spam emails from Kickstarter start going out to people telling them to support the book. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a successful thing. So thank you for everybody that has backed it so far. If you haven't, I'm going to track you down and stab you, and I'm going to take your money and apply it to my campaign. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start flipping through some comics here and take a look at what we got. Oh, got to turn my virtual camera on. That'd probably be helpful. There we go. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about here is Grant Lankard is somebody he's a Pittsburgh cartoonist. I've done work with him in the past. I hung out with him for a little bit when I was in Pittsburgh. He's a good dude. I supported his most recent Kickstarter, picked up all 3 of the League of Cryptids issues from him. This is the most recent one, number 3. They are doing another Kickstarter currently. I don't know if this is still going or when it ends. I wasn't aware that this was a thing, but if you guys wanted to follow that, I think there's a better QR code in here if you guys wanted to check it out. There's that for you. And then there is another one in here. There's 2 Kickstarters. This guy. That's another QR code for you guys there if you wanted to grab that. Let it focus. All right. So yeah, like I said, he's my buddy. So go out and support Grant and what he does. It looks like there was a couple of people that worked on these books. I think he did all of the writing and the inking, and then yeah, there was a different penciler and letterer that was on this. So Comicsburg is who puts this stuff out, and it's like a collective with Grant and a bunch of other people from Pittsburgh, kind of doing their own co-op indie comic sort of thing. But yeah, if you're into cryptids, Loch Ness Monster, that kind of Bigfoot, that kind of stuff, this book is right up your alley. I literally just opened this up out of the package. I just got these today from his Kickstarters. I haven't had a chance to read these yet, so I'm pretty excited to actually dive into these and see what's up. But I can say that I'm a big fan of this devil dude and like the all leather get up. He's pretty badass. So Grant, if you're listening and you end up doing like a spin-off of these books, give this dude his own solo book. Like I said, I don't know what his name is yet because I haven't read it, but give this dude his own solo book. I think out of all these characters, he's like the coolest one, especially with his design. All right, so I got a fat stack of comics here. We're going to flip through here real quick, and then we're going to look at wrap it up with the 3 Ren and Stimpy issues, and then we're going to call it a night. I have to get some photos or some shorts and videos uploaded for the dude after this, so his content goes up in the morning. Let's turn this down. It's a little bright. Okay, so Black Cross by Dark Horse Comics. So I was familiar of this because I'm a big fan of Dark Horse Presents. If you guys have seen haul videos I've done in the past, I constantly am buying the Dark Horse Presents. And Chris Warner is just a badass cartoonist. And this is just straight up just Punisher-y, outlaw, Sylvester Stallone, Cobra. I don't know how else to explain this, but except for like Cobra is like the best point of comparison. I mean, just look at him. It's like if this isn't Sylvester Stallone from Cobra, I don't know who this was modeled after. But yes, it's very badass comic. We got the zips and the screen tones going on here. One of my favorite things that I love about black and white comics is just people's interpretations and use of screen tones and how they're doing that. Because you guys know, I'm purely just a black and white artist, and a vast majority of my style and the way that my art looks comes from the way that I use screen tones, because I think I use them in pretty unconventional ways. So that's what makes me different from everybody else. All right, so yeah, Black Cross is just a badass book. What else can you say about it? Like I said, these are things that you can always find in like Dark Horse Presents. So if you ever pick up a couple of those, there's always like sample pages and Dark Horse Presents. This is the first time I've ever seen a Black Cross issue out in the wild. So shout out to that, I guess. All right, so I have a couple of issues of Baker Street. So I grabbed a sketchbook from Baker Street, and then as well just the first issue. So I have a couple of later issues of Baker Street, and the best way I can describe this, it's basically like, you know how Love and Rockets is basically like the punk rock version of Archie? This is basically the goth rock version of Archie. I mean, it was made by Caliber, right? So like, let's be realistic here. James O'Barr, The Crow, they're kind of that company. Literally honor among punks, and when you look at this, you're like, okay, yeah, I definitely can see the man, that architecture is fucking nuts though. But it's like, yeah, I can see the the influence of Love and Rockets on here a little bit. Granted, this Love and Rockets came out a couple years beforehand, but so it's around the same time, but you definitely can see that Love and Rockets played a big proponent on that. So if you're into Love and Rockets and you're into like the whole goth rock movement and stuff that was happening around this time, the late 80s going into the 90s into the early 2000s, you know, this is your book. It's good shit, man. Kind of looks like Brittany Murphy a little bit there. But yeah, just good old splatterpunk style kind of art. Badass stuff, man. Baker Street. Gotta love it. All right, so this next one we're going to be showing off here. So The Man by Von Baudet. I'm not going to break this out. I felt like it was kind of redundant. We can just look at one, kind of like we did with Baker Street. So Junk Waffle by Von Baudet. This issue is pretty beat up. It's water damaged. Has rips in some of the pages, so on and so forth. But I just kind of wanted to show this off, just in terms of just the wackiness of Von Baudet. Had a huge influence on like graffiti artists, hip hop, that sort of community. Once you look at his work, you definitely can see it, especially in like eyes. Like they just look like, you know, graffiti characters. Yeah, it's good shit though. Love me some Von Baudet action. Good underground stuff. I believe Cheech Wizard is probably his most popular series book, however you want to look at that. But yeah, you can see this thing got pretty fucked. So, got ruined somewhere, and this whole back is just all taped up with tape. But I paid like next to nothing on it. Like all these books that we're looking at today were pretty much all 75% off, except for like a couple of them. But the vast majority of them were 75% off. So it's like, you know, this thing was labeled at $5. So it's, you know, it's only paying like $1 for it. So for an underground book, I will take it. This is a Spidey book that's been on my list for a couple of weeks now. So Jim Mahfood had recently done a stream where he was showing off just a bunch of Spider-Man comics when he was promoting Arachnid Enforcer. This was one of the ones that he showed off, and I was like, I need to buy this. Like, I have to own this. Two of them, and one of them I already found, and that was the Ace 2 issue. Unironically enough, both Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Mans. But it's like, look at this. It's like grungy dudes on a subway fucking robbing an old lady. Then, of course, you know, Peter Parker shows up and webs them all up, and that's that, right? But we're here for the Hypno Hustler. So, Marvel Legends recently announced a figure for this dude. So his notoriety is on the rise a little bit right now because of that recent announcement at New York Comic Con of the toy. But he's kind of a weird B tier character. He's in a handful of issues, but this was his first appearance. And Homeboy is literally just scratching discs, making music, and he's hypnotizing people, taking them under his control. It's stupid nonsense, but you gotta love it. Like I said, I saw Jim Mahfood flipping through this on his stream, and I was like, yeah, I need to buy this issue. Because it's just so ridiculous on its face. But yeah, Hypno Hustler, he's kind of making his rounds. Like I said, he's getting a Marvel Legends figure right now, so that's pretty dope. So yeah, shout out to Hypno Hustler. Oh, these pages. Real sticky. Yeah, it looks like it got wet at one point in time or something. But yeah, let's go to the next one. Get my chat pulled up here in front of me. All right, let's get rocking. Okay, so Megaton Holiday Special. So this was when they redid Megaton. So Megaton was like a fanzine anthology sort of thing that was happening in like the California, Washington area during the late 80s into the 90s. So you can find like super early Savage Dragon in it, Youngblood, because Liefeld and Larson were all from the California area. Especially Larson, he's from Northern California. But this is basically kind of like another rendition of that. So they brought it back in like the mid 90s. Yeah, this is 93. So they brought it back. And it's just a bunch of like smaller underground indie cartoonists kind of going at it together and making another Megaton issue. That's what this is. There is Rob Liefeld stuff in here. So I mean, he wrote the forward, so you can see that. So they brought him back to kind of hype the book up a little bit. Everything that was in here wasn't super mind-blowing. I flipped through this before the stream had started. But, yeah, see, look at this. It's like super early thing of Youngblood. And like the print quality on this, it's super blurry and everything. And Malibu Comics logo down on the bottom. But they did a re-release of that Youngblood Deluxe recently, and I'm pretty sure this is in there in black and white, and like the quality is way better. So if you want to see this, that's a good place to find that. And here's that issue of Megaton with the first appearance of Savage Dragon in it. So you can kind of see it's doesn't really have the fin going on yet. It's more of just like a smaller mohawk. I saw this at the con when I was tabling it over the weekend, and I decided not to pull my and I decided not to pull the trigger on it. It was an $85 book, something I definitely could have afforded and purchased. However, I already had purchased, like $100+ worth of other things previous to that, so I ended up skipping on that issue. I'm sure I'll see it later on down the road, but that was the first time I've ever seen a super early Megaton like that in the wild. But yeah, the thing that I ended up purchasing that was like it was actually $75 what I paid for it, but the Vault edition of Savage Dragon had come out earlier this year, and Half Price Books had it for $75. New, still in the box, so I snagged that up and had to take it. But yeah, good old fun issue of Megaton. Why not? All right, we're not going to flip through both of these, but I just wanted to show that I had purchased both of these. So this is Den number 2. We're going to be taking a look at the first issue. If you do not know what Den is, it is a comic series from good old Richard Corbin. Richard Corbin I would categorize as like a underground cartoonist, I guess, is where I'd kind of slot him in at. Definitely did a lot of stuff in the underground, and then eventually came up with his own press, Fantagora Press. I have a couple of issues of Fantagora. They're just like anthology books of nothing but Richard Corbin stuff. But if you've never seen Den, Dark Horse recently did a re-release of this stuff. I want to say like late last year, sometime last year. So you still can find them. I saw that like the hardcover editions were on Amazon, and they were like 50% off right now. So you can get them pretty cheap. So if you wanted to get some Den action, that's probably the best way to do it, rather than trying to find these issues, because they only did one printing of the comics, and they're very hard to find because they did not print a lot of them. So it's very rare that you do see them out in the wild. But like I said, Dark Horse just recollected this stuff. So if you want to get good hardcover versions of Den, that is probably the way to do it. But yeah, Richard Corbin just lives on a different planet. It's like his color palettes are pretty out there, very unique. Nobody else does it like him. And then, like, the best way I can describe his art, it looks like it's made out of wet clay. I don't know how else to describe how it looks. Very uncanny looking. Lifelike, but painterly, comic booky at the same time. Like I said, it looks like it's made out of wet clay. That's the best way I can describe Richard Corbin's art. So yeah, shout out to Richard Corbin, and then Mutant World and Vic Blood and Children of Fire, a bunch of different books that he put out. In the grand scheme of things, they all look the same. you know, he did Fever Dreams and all that kind of stuff, and like his art all looks the same. It's all kind of in that weird sci-fi, uncanny, fantasy sort of world. But Richard Corbin's one of the greats, man. So shout out to that. And then I think the rest of these we're just going to show off the cover, and then we're going to get into some Ren and Stimpy stuff here. All right, so the Image version of the Turtles, Eric Larson was able to round up the licensed Turtles around this time, got it on Image, and then of course I don't have any of these issues, but I had to buy it because Dragon was on the cover, as we've already have been over the you know, not even 10 minutes ago. Dragon's one of my favorites. Got to snag it up again. 75% off sale, so cannot complain. Add that to my Larson collection. Picked up another issue of Fat Freddy's Cat. So this is an interesting book because I want to know a little bit more about it. Somebody that's more educated on the Freak Brothers, but Fat Freddy's Cat has been like released as full-sized issues and like this weird like booklet digest size as well. They put Fat Freddy Cat like stories directly within Fabulous Freak Brothers. So I'm just kind of curious to know like how many more of like these smaller booklet digest size are there floating out there, because the only ones that I've seen are 1 and 2. So I'm not too sure if there's other ones out there, and that's kind of like the thing with underground books is there's little to no information on this shit, and it's basically just what you find out from other people that collect this stuff. So if anybody knows, that would be great. And then I found the #1 issue of Normal Man. Again, 75% off, cannot complain. Some good old Jim Valentino goodness. This is when he was just doing some underground indie art and comics before, obviously, he had gone over to Marvel and done Guardians of the Galaxy and so on and so forth. So shout out to Normal Man, it's good shit. I would say it's within the same realm as like Don Simpson's Megaton Man, definitely a parody comic on superheroes. Grimjack #1, finally was able to find this bad boy. As everybody knows, I'm a big fan of Tim Truman. Scout's one of my favorite comics. Grimjack is something that I've started reading recently. Obviously I was aware of it, but been getting more and more into Grimjack. Finally was able to find the first issue. So pretty excited to dig into this bad boy and take a look at it. But yeah, Tim Truman's like one of my favorite cartoonists. The dude can just draw his ass off. We've talked about Scout many times on this channel. So if you're looking to get into Tim Truman, that's the book that I would recommend to look at, is Scout. So go track it down or go track down some copies of Grimjack. And then I had some more Richard Corbin goodness that I picked up. This is Edgar Allan Poe rendition that he had done for PC Comics. Advertising Alien Worlds on the back, more Richard Corbin goodness. But I have a couple of these Corbin specials that they did. I think there was like the Macabre that they had put out as well. But I was missing this one out of my collection, so I went ahead and snagged this. You see Corbin, you buy Corbin. This is called Prime Slime. So this is I don't even know how you would categorize this. It's really not an anthology book, but Kevin Eastman did the cover on this, and then somebody else did the interiors. But it's like a bunch of short stories about like this cat dude. Okay, thanks, Dan. Yeah, it's like this cat dude and kind of like this frog guy and this lady. I haven't had a chance to read this. I just flipped through it real quick, but it's just kind of like short stories about them. So kind of interesting. I snagged this up, again, 75% off, so you really can't complain about it. But I see Kevin Eastman, I gotta buy it. So that's pretty much where that ended up. Amazing Heroes 114. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, well, that's Klaus Janson, and I was correct down here in the corner. We got Janson, so this is from '87. So kind of in that mid run of like Amazing Heroes. I don't know how long Amazing Heroes had gone for, but obviously it went on for a pretty fucking long time considering this is 114. But you can't go wrong with Klaus Janson. You can tell that it's him with like these effects kind of going on in the background, but the fact that Punisher is so black doesn't really scream Jansen to me. Lots of little detail, but I'm sure that, you know, he probably did this on the cheap and cranked it out real quick for somebody. Then we had some good old Jim Starlin art here. Comic Reader 154. Again, fanzines, that sort of thing. I collect them, and you cannot go wrong with good old Ghost Rider. Pretty badass cover, actually. All right, so then we got New Mutants 87. I've been going down a Liefeld rabbit hole lately. For whatever reason, I did not already own this issue, which that's kind of shame on me, to be honest with you. I was able to get it, again, 75% off, so why the hell not? McFarlane on the inks on this guy, on the cover. As time goes on, Rob has really grown on me, and like I was the biggest Todd fanboy, but as time has kind of been ticking on, I've been really into Rob as of late. And honestly, like in terms of like founding Image members, I'm probably putting Larson at the top, Rob, Todd. Man, Silvestri is at the bottom for me. Like just in terms of, I don't care about Cyberforce. I don't care about the Darkness and whatever the hell else that he worked on. This Tomb Raider books, I just don't care. I don't know why. It's just for whatever reason that dude's art. I think it seems very clinical to me, if that makes sense. It's like the same way I don't care for Jim Lee much. It's just very like generic to the point to like their comic style was so popular at the time, like Silvestri and Lee, especially those two guys, that the comic industry kind of like took their style and that became like the modern comic book style that we know of today, like kind of the digital look, the hyper detail, all that kind of stuff. So when I look at comic books nowadays, I'm like, oh, that looks like Silvestri, or that kind of looks like the artist is doing a Jim Lee or what have you, as opposed to like Todd, Rob, Larson. They all have their different styles for sure, and that's why it kind of sticks with me a little more. But yeah, anyways, Scooby-Doo team up with Space Ghost. I'm a big Space Ghost guy, as we know. Work for the dude, so anytime I see a Space Ghost issue or anything Space Ghost that I already don't own, I snag it up and take her away. All right, so Joe Kubert School first folio. I know that like Stephen Bissett was in the first class, so on and so forth. So I was hoping there would be some like Bissett deep cuts in here. It's not. I'm not even joking. I flipped through this. I think there's one other person in here that's not a Kubert, but it's Joe Kubert is in here, Andy Kubert, and Adam. So all the Kuberts are basically filling this entire like anthology book up. But yeah, like I was saying, I was hoping that we would be able to get some like Bissett in here because it said it was the first folio, but this had come out after the fact. But yeah, there's still some good stuff in here. Not what I was expecting, but nonetheless, I'm a big Joe Kubert guy, so gotta love it. All right, and then good old Matt Wagner Grendel. I own a couple of Grendels. I have a couple of like the War Child series that they had done that like Bisley did covers and whatnot for. I have a bunch of those. I did not have any just OG Grendel stuff, so of course I had to grab it, snag it up, and then I'm excited to dive into this and take a look at it. And then I found this black and white pencil version of Red Room #1. Never seen this variant before, didn't even know it existed. I just came from Eddie Pecan and dug through a bunch of boxes specifically that had nothing but Red Room in it and never saw this guy. Picked it up, again, 75% off, cannot complain. But yeah, just keep racking up the variant covers for Red Room. I only buy the variant covers from Ed and Jim. If like Izzy's like the Izzy Comics variants, like Peach Momoko variants and stuff, like I don't care, so I don't collect those. But from the two main men, all day I'll be collecting those comics. Okay, let's go ahead and start digging into some Ren Stimpys here. Look at this one first. So this is the one that I just acquired from over the last weekend when I was tabling Comic Verse up in Fox Valley. And yeah, so this one came out pretty early, all things considered. Like I said, there's a bunch of specials that they had done. There's like the summer special, the interactive special, Powder Toast Man special, obviously. And this was the very last one that I was missing out of the bunch. Able to grab that finally. The one thing that I noticed when I was flipping through this before the stream had started, out of all the Ren and Stimpy issues that I have, they're all pretty much in immaculate condition. The color on this one has faded pretty bad from over time. Not too sure why that is, but yeah, for whatever reason, like the vibrancy on the ink on this one has really, really faded. Which that can happen. But who we got? Templeton is on this one. Yep, Ty Templeton, and we got Dan Slott on the story, which Dan Slott pretty much did like every issue of these Ren and Stimpy comics. And I would say that Mike Kazala is probably the other prolific like artist to actually cranked out a bunch of these comics, which the other two issues that we have, it's Mike Kazala and man, I can't remember who like the third guy is that did a bunch of stuff on these books, but the other book that we're going to be looking at is also his. Yeah, this is a weird line art on this. Like this white highlight that's going around behind him just kind of looks like it's almost unfinished in a way. I don't know, hard to describe. What other comic book stuff that you'll find out there is just we dropped connection there for a second. There we go. OBS just randomly decided to update in the middle of the stream. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that these are like some of the strongest cartoon comics or licensed comics just in general. Because everybody knows licensed comic can be pretty bad. I mean, even Marvel put out pretty shitty ones when they were putting out like their cartoon comics and more kid friendly comics through that Star label. But yeah, for whatever reason, this issue of Ren and Stimpy, the color just faded pretty bad on it. So, who knows? Yeah, let's go ahead and dig into the next one. We got some like kaiju action going on here. Kind of interesting, I guess. Pretty good cartooning. All right, so on to the next one. It looks like my internet's struggling a little bit here. We've got two more issues to flip through here quick. And this is issue 21. Good old Stimpy singing "I'm the Cat," classic from the cartoon. Ken Matroni, I could not remember what this guy's name was, but that's who it is. Let's see what's going on with my stream here. Why is the quality so bad? Because my internet's not like dropping. Yeah, I don't know why it's so grainy. Oh, who knows? Let's just keep rolling here. Little Big League. I had zero knowledge that this thing even existed, and that does not surprise me. I have no idea of any of the people that were in that movie or who made it. Crazy that was a theater movie, not like a straight to video or something. Ooh, get an X-Men glow in the dark poster through some Chef Boyardee cans. We're gonna be rich. I'm sure the people that still do. Yeah, I've done a bunch of TNT stuff. A bunch of these guys have done a bunch of TMT stuff. So, Dan Casala did a bunch of Archie stuff. That's what he actually worked on before he came over and started working on this. He was over doing the Archie Turtle books, I'm pretty sure, before he started working on the Ren and Stimpy stuff and went over to Marvel. So when we pull out this next issue, Dan Casala drew it. Like, you can see it. Like, oh yeah, like that dude worked on Turtles Archie. Just like the eyes, especially, like they just look like the Archie Turtle books. But yeah, just kind of going through, and this is just reenacting, one of the episodes from Ren and Stimpy that was pretty popular. Great cartooning. Some good old Cookie Crisp. So this is Scott Benson and Stephanie Gladden, and there's just a random interstitial story in here, which they do on occasion in these Ren and Stimpy books, which is kind of interesting. Just Alice Cooper down here, chilling. Chilling. Shock Tarts. They need to bring them back. Starting a petition now. One of the reasons, though, why I love flipping through these, just like 90s books in general, are just the ads that are in here. They're so ridiculous. Blaze #1. The Last Temptation. Oh, was that the Archie? Yeah, the Archie Punisher. Jesus. Crunch and Munch. And this one is a Casala thing. And I know that Mike Casala and Don Simpson have a lot of crossover, and he did a bunch of stuff in Don Simpson's anthology, Megaton anthology that he recently put out. But you definitely can see when you look at this, like, look at his art and then go back and just look at Archie Turtles, and it's like, oh yeah, this dude getting put on Ren and Stimpy makes a ton of sense. And it's like the perfect crossover. And like I said, I think he's the most prolific guy that did stuff for these Ren and Stimpy books. I don't even think it comes close. Just his cartooning is just so good. Just a random ass ad of Steve Barra. Kind of random. Steve Barra was the dude that did like Battle at the Barracks if you're a skateboarder. He's the one that kind of ran that stuff. The barracks has been shut down, so they don't do those anymore. But that was kind of his claim to fame as of late. So Steve Barra is still around in the skateboarding community. One of the things that I picked up for Mike Casala is actually drawing stacks of money. There's an issue of Stimpy on the front of it. He's like cutting coupons, but he's actually holding money instead of coupons, and he's cutting them. And like how the money is stacked up beside him is just kind of like he just did Z's and then did like lines going down the sides of them. And it's like, oh, dude, that's like a fast and quick way to draw stacked money, and it looks fine, actually. So kind of snap that away from Dan Casala. It's like, how often are you going to need to draw stacks of money? It's like, I don't know, but I have that in my toolbox now. Yeah, this is such a cool picture, man. Very like 60s almost, you know what I mean? Kind of looks like weird Hanna-Barbera background characters that you would see. That's what it reminds me of, anyways. Or like maybe like Hanna-Barbera characters you'd even see in the 90s in like a Johnny Bravo cartoon or like a Powerpuff cartoon or something. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But yeah, the old classic Dan Casella eyes, you can pull those things out of anywhere. He has like his own anthropomorphic animal books that he had done on the side. I can't remember what the name of them are right now, but you look at those and you look at this, and it's like the eyes are always the same. So that is like my one of the ways I can tell it's Dan Casella or not is just like the eyes and how expressive they are and how they look. Some Mountie action. Yeah, his cartooning is second to none. Like I said, I think he's the strongest cartoonist out of all the Ren and Stimpy guys that were thrown onto this book. Good old NBA Jam. What a banger of a game that is. Alright, so that's the end of the Ren and Stimpy's. And I want to say, because I have that Savage Dragon Vault Edition, but there's zero chance I'm going to be able to show that off because it's way too big of a book for me to do so. We honestly might end up calling it there. Let's go ahead and expand this out here and start wrapping up here. Typically, we do about an hour. We're kind of getting to that point. All right. So, like I was saying earlier, if you owe me pages for the third anthology, uh, those are due Saturday by midnight Pacific. So make sure you get those to me. I already have 10 submissions. So we're already at over a full size book. We're at what, 30 pages right now, roughly, I want to say. So it's going to probably end up being bigger than the last one that we did. The horror anthology that we did was like 34 pages, and this one's probably going to end up being a little more than that. I contributed 10 pages to it, and I had art sent to me, like I said already, and I think that I'm going to repurpose both of those things, one for the back cover, one for the front cover. So yeah, it's underground goodness. Like, you should see one of the things that somebody sent to me. I read it and I didn't even know how to react to it. It was just kind of like, you know how underground stuff, you just look at it and you just gotta smile and shake your head and you kind of shrug your shoulders like, what the fuck am I even reading? So very much that energy, which is exactly what I want. And then White Line Deadline, we have 9 days left on it. So make sure that if you haven't backed it already, to head in and to do so. And yeah, let's finish this thing out strong. We only have $60 left to go, so not much at all. Definitely think we're gonna cross that threshold probably within the last 2 days, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week. I will have another comic haul that we'll be flipping through and showing off, and then as well, I'll probably show off some more of the anthology and everything like that. I'll have some of it in progress, so I definitely can pull up the Mixum file and kind of show you guys what I have cooking, to kind of dredge up some hype for that. And yeah, so I gotta sit here, I gotta call it. I get to pop into Steve's channel here and start uploading getting his video and everything like that ready for tomorrow morning to post at 9 a.m. So get his content ready, and I'm gonna finish. Probably going to end up penciling my my cover for White Line number 2 tonight as well. I have the rough. I liked the design of it last night, so then I started to lay out the cover for the kind of like the finalized cover. I had it all boarded out. I have like a quarter of it inked or so. It's like a border within a border sort of thing. So I have the borders drawn and inked. I just have to actually put the drawing on the inside of it and screen tone it up, and that's going to be the cover for number 2. And then I'm probably going to end up start drawing that bad boy probably next week. I have like 2 pages done for it already, so I just gotta finish that out, crank it out. It's probably gonna end up being another like 28 to 32 pager. I'm gonna end up adding some pages to it, so it's probably gonna be in that 30 to 32 range more than likely, but like 28 to 32 pages. And then I'm gonna launch it on the second issue on Kickstarter again, and I'm thinking that that's probably going to be towards like the beginning of next year. Get the book out, and then there'll probably be another anthology before then. I'm hoping that we'll do another anthology, um, like January timeframe, get it out in February, and then start up the next issue of Deadline's Kickstarter, probably like February timeframe. So that way I'm flip flopping between issues, and then that will keep me busy pretty much for the entirety of next year, at least through what, May, June timeframe. Hey Mark, how we doing, man? I yeah, so next year I'm probably gonna be busy doing anthology and white line in between, like kind of flip flopping those. So once we get into the year next year, we kind of will be able to see what I'm gonna be doing. I did sign up for Heroes Con, got on the list for that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it because if we're gonna be doing Eddie Con again, I would probably prefer to do that. And I can't take much time off of work, unfortunately. So it's kind of one of those things like I got to do one or the other. I prefer to do Eddie Con. Oh yeah, Mark, we're gonna be doing more anthologies for sure. So, um, yeah, probably like February, maybe like January ish. I'm probably gonna be like, hey, January, 1st through February 1st is kind of gonna be the next uh thing. I try to space them out like 3 months apart or so, mainly for the reason that like I don't want to be annoying to people, and like because I could do more and I want to do more, but I don't want to be annoying to people and like constantly posting about it, bugging people for art and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel like if I space them out a little bit, do like my own solo thing, do an anthology, do my own solo thing, do an anthology, it kind of gives that breathing room for a lot of people. And then plus, when I'm doing my own book, it gives me a month or whatever to sit down and draw it and get it done. Because I am very much a page a guy, if not like a page every other day. Kind of depends, how much drawing there is, but usually I can pencil it, ink it, get it screen toned within a day. Um, Working out the size that I do, 9.5 by 12, so that does save me a lot of time because I'm not on 11 by 17. So that does help out quite a bit. But yeah, so we're going to be doing another anthology book. I have no idea what the next theme is going to be. First one was just kind of like we just threw the kitchen sink at it. I didn't know if it was something that was going to be successful or not, so I really didn't give it a theme. I didn't want to uh, bottleneck or shoehorn people into being like, this is how it has to be, so on and so forth, until like I had my grips around what I wanted that anthology to be. Once number 2 rolled around, I knew exactly like what I wanted that anthology to be at that point, what the future issues are going to look like, so on and so forth. So I have like a good concrete design, layout, and everything like that kind of into it that I can pump into other books, get them done quicker, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll have to think about it because we did horror, we did an underground theme this time around. So it's like, what else can we really do? It's like superheroes maybe, but I'm not too sure. It's something that we'll have to think about. Maybe we just say fuck it and we go color and see what happens with like a full color issue and just let people go all crazy again. I don't know. Yeah, it's true. We could post like a poll or something and see what happens. Get some votes on it. That's true. Yeah, I mean that's not a bad point to be honest with you, because I would still be able to, like, with it being sci-fi and fantasy, I would still be able to rope it into like a underground style, that I have, because I would just be able to rip off some Richard Corbin comics. Um, but yeah, that's definitely something that we could do. That's a pretty good idea, to be honest with you. So we'll probably end up doing that. Um, so yeah, I guess like around mid December or so, I'll pull out the ping, see what people think, and gather up all the votes, and whatever wins, that's what we'll end up running with. And like I said, probably like January through February will be the next will be the next 4 weeks for the anthology to get done, and once that's done, we'll get that thing sent off to the printer, and I'll be drawing issue number 3 for White Line after that, and then number 4 for White Line is going to take me a little longer to draw because that is going to be an expanded issue. Originally, the book was going to be its own full trade. I decided to release it through floppies because that's what I prefer, or collecting floppies. And then I'm like, well, then after everything is collected, I can just put them all into a single trade, and then the people that prefer trades can get it then. I don't know. It's just how I like to do, my stuff. So, but yeah, the 4th issue is going to end up being expanded because that would have been enough pages to probably put in 2 issues worth of stuff. So it's probably going to be like 40 pages, if not more than that, on the 4th issue. So it's going to be a little expanded. Because the what was I going to say? Man, I'm kind of lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, because like the first and second issue, there isn't a lot of like action that's in it. It's a lot of like character building, world building, disposition, because it is like an off the fucking wall, underground, crazy like sort of book, but it's still grounded in reality. So I can't be having like dudes getting gunned down by cops and them gunning down cops like right at the start of the series, because it doesn't make sense, because in like the rules of the world, like the motherfuckers would be in prison. You know what I mean? So it's like that stuff comes later. When the shit goes down. Some shit goes down in the second issue, but for the most part, the first issue, it's just world building, kind of like the stakes, setting up everything, and then it's just starts snowballing out from there. And then the 4th issue, like I said, that could have been broke down and probably into 5 issues, but I decided, hey, let's just do it in a big fat single. It's like kind of like the conclusion of the story, because how the full narrative of like those books end up, the basically ends on like a cliffhanger, I guess is the way to kind of look at it. Very much in the vein of like The Last of Us, the very first game. It's just very much like, oh, they just went through a bunch of shit. Here's the end, and then it's like Ellie just found out that Joel lied to her, basically, and closed the credits. That's basically kind of like the inspiration behind the ending to my book. So that way I can kind of take those characters and do other things with them if I so decide to do. But the whole White Line Deadline narrative is done at that point. But if I wanted to take those characters and do something else with them, I absolutely could. So yeah, I'm super excited to see where the future in it holds. But I think that I'll be done with White Line, flip flopping anthologies and White Line probably by like May-June time frame. It's kind of what I'm hoping. I doubt White Line will be able to do that because I don't want to annoy the shit out of people with advertising for like the Kickstarter and everything like that, because I plan on launching every issue on Kickstarter, obviously. So I'll have to space those out as time goes on. So it might be a little bit late in the year, but I'm going to be able to get other things done. If anthologies, maybe do some smaller comics of my own. Get them done that way and just do little short stories. Who knows? But definitely for the first 6 to 8 months of next year, I'm going to be tied up doing anthologies and getting White Line done. And then once White Line's done, I'm just going to start thinking about the next thing and seeing what happens. I don't have any like big narrative ideas or anything like that, but we will see what happens, because I think I'm going to take a couple of the side characters from White Line and turn it into its own thing. So we'll see. Anyhow, I have to go. I gotta get YouTube stuff loaded up for the dude here. So again, pages for anthology are due by Saturday. Get them to me, or they're going to be late, and I'm not going to accept them. If I'm going to need any edits or anything like that from you guys, I will reach out and let you know. Besides that, I hope you have a good rest of your week and your weekend, and I will see you next week Thursday. Peace, everybody.